You could be the richest merchant in the province and still be forbidden, by law, from owning the things a minor official owned by right. In Imperial China, wealth did not buy these objects. Rank did. And a trained eye could read your exact place in the world from the badge on your chest, the button on your hat, and the studs on your gait before you said a single word. The first object was the Mandarin square, or Buzi. It was a large embroidered panel sewn onto the chest and back of an official's robe that was impossible to miss from across any crowded hall. Civil officials wore birds and military officials wore beasts. A crane marked the highest civil rank, while a golden pheasant stood one step below and the list descended below them. A stranger could read your exact place by glancing at your chest. The system was authorized in Ming Sumptuary laws of 1391, and it continued through the Qing Dynasty until the Imperial system fell in 1912. For centuries, the badge did not merely decorate a robe, it functioned as a wearable law. It is easy to assume these were ornaments for the rich. They were not. A merchant could buy finer silk than the official wore, but he could never legally sew a crane onto his own chest, no matter how rich he was. The law reserved that bird for rank alone. If you want to see the rest of the objects that rank alone could buy, then do subscribe and stay with me for the whole story. This is where we sit with how power in Asia truly worked, slowly, the way it deserves. Stay a while. The badge told you his rank from the front. This next object told you from across a crowded courtyard, from the very top of his head, before he ever entered the room or said a word to anyone present. In the Qing Dynasty, every official wore a hat with a finial on top, and the color of that knob announced his grade to anyone with eyes. A first-rank official wore a red ruby, the second rank a red coral, and the third rank a blue sapphire. Below them, the stones changed again. The fourth rank used lapis lazuli, the fifth a clear crystal, and the sixth an opaque white shell. By the seventh rank, the finial was plain gold, and the eighth and ninth ranks wore worked gold, the humblest knobs in the whole system. Cheaper glass versions stood in for the real stones on everyday hats, but the color always announced the rank. Surviving finials in these ranks sit in museum collections today, each one a tiny sphere that held the weight of a man's career. You did not choose your finial. The state chose it for you, and a stranger could read your exact standing from the top of your head before you ever made a sound. Some objects you could not buy at any price. This next one had to be granted by the emperor as state recognition and legal standing in the eyes of the imperial court and its many officials. The court necklace hung around the necks of the emperor, the imperial family, and high officials and civil servants of the first through fifth rank wore it, as did military officers above the fourth rank. Below those thresholds, the necklace was forbidden, no matter how much silver you offered. The materials were as regulated as the wearers, and only the emperor, the empress dowager, and the empress could wear Eastern pearls in palace ceremonies reserved for the highest ranks of the imperial court. Apricot yellow was reserved for the crown prince, golden yellow for the princes, and a dark blue-black for the lords and officials of the court. This was not jewelry you could commission from a craftsman. It was a grant from the state, and wearing it without the proper rank was a serious legal violation that could bring severe punishment under imperial law. The beads might look like decoration to an untrained eye, but to insiders they read like a signature. Let me ask you something. If your money could buy the finest silk in the city, but the law forbade you to wear it, would you have obeyed, or would you have risked it in private? Tell me below. I read every answer. Even the way you moved was regulated. How you were carried announced who you were to everyone long before you arrived at your destination or ever stepped onto the public street. The sedan chair was not merely a convenience for the wealthy. It was a mobile billboard of rank. The color of the chair, the decoration on its panels, and the number of bearers who lifted it were all fixed by your standing in the official hierarchy and enforced by magistrates who patrolled the streets. A low-ranked clerk did not travel with the same bearers or colors as a provincial governor, and a merchant who rented a grander chair than the law allowed was committing the same offense as wearing the wrong badge. The chair announced your place before you ever stepped out of it. This is worth pausing on. Even the rhythm of your movement through the streets, the sway of the poles, and the space the bearers cleared around you were part of the state's design. The empire did not merely tell you what to wear, it told you how to travel, and it told everyone else exactly where you stood. And it did not stop at what you wore. It reached your front door, and the number of studs upon it told a story of rank that anyone could read from the street outside without ever knocking on the heavy gate. Your home was the final object in this chain of laws. The Qing building codes assigned colors and sizes by rank, and the roof above your head announced your standing before a visitor ever crossed the threshold or entered the door. Yellow tiles marked imperial buildings, green tiles the residence of the heir, and plain grey tiles the quarters of servants. The layout was regulated. The number of bays in your hall and even the studs on your gate were fixed by law. An imperial gate carried 9 rows of 9 studs, a pattern of 81 metal bosses that shouted the emperor's presence to anyone who approached the forbidden city. A house in Imperial China was not a private sanctuary. It was a legal statement written in brick and tile, and every passerby could read your rank from the street without knocking on your door or asking your name or permission. You could not renovate your gate to look grander. You could not add a courtyard you were not entitled to. The architecture policed you. Now here is the strange part. This whole terrifying system, punishable as treason, was broken constantly by the very people who were supposed to enforce it, and the proof survives in museums today. On paper, the 5-clawed dragon was the most sacred symbol in the empire. It belonged to the emperor and his immediate family, and wearing it without the proper rank was treated as usurpation, a direct challenge to the throne. It could be punished as one of the gravest offenses in the entire legal code. And yet surviving Qing dragon robes in museum collections carry the 5-clawed dragon on garments worn by people who were not entitled to it. The embroidery is too fine to be a mistake. Someone decided the law did not apply to them. Other robes show claws that were altered, added or removed to change the wearer's apparent rank, quiet evidence that people adjusted the sacred symbol to fit the standing they had or the standing they wanted. By the late 1800s, these conventions were often ignored entirely. Magistrates still staged public crackdowns, confiscating illegal garments and fining tailors, but the volume of violations had grown so vast that enforcement became theatre rather than justice. The law described the order the state wished for. The museums show the order that actually existed. This is the honest turn. The most terrifying rule in the empire was broken often by the people bold enough to risk it, and they left the proof behind in silk and gold. If all of this feels distant, it is not. The code never disappeared. It only learned to whisper, and if you know how to listen, you can still hear it today. Today, elites still read each other through objects, but the signals have gone underground and now travel in whispers that only insiders understand. A certain watch, an unmarked logo, a detail on a shoe that means nothing to outsiders, but everything to those who know, and among the very richest, the most powerful signal is the refusal to display anything at all. Stealth wealth is the Mandarin square turned inside out. These were never luxuries in the way we mean the word. They were legal instruments, worn and carried and built, each one announcing a rank you were forbidden to overstate. The code never truly disappeared. Today, the signals are quieter, a certain watch, an unmarked logo, and among the very richest, the refusal to display anything at all to the unsuspecting public eye. But the impulse is the same one the emperors knew. Power has always been read in objects, and the real privilege was never owning the thing. It was being the only one allowed to. If this was worth your time, then subscribe and stay a while. There are many more of these hidden rules of power waiting to come, and the next one is already being prepared and will arrive sooner than you think. And if you want to know the shades that ruled ancient China, watch this video next.